This actually it's a new series that we are starting for this auspicious month of Kartik, and this is the Vrindavan Parikrama series up to 2021. Now it is the Kartik Parikrama time. Devotees of Lord Krishna from all over the world flock to the Braj Bhumi, the Vrindavan, for the pilgrimage Parikrama and visit so many holy places. Some devotees even do not have any place to stay, and they simply sleep on the street and desperate to do the Parikrama. The Kartik Parikrama lasts for a whole month, starting from the Sharad Purnima that started on this October 20th and ending in the next Purnima. There are so many holy places in entire India. Are they all equal? Once Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking on the shore of Jagannath Puri. All of a sudden he was seeing Krishna Leela manifesting in front of him. So he entered into it, and the body of cold pain collapsed. And all the devotees were in anxious. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there for a while. And then he really came back to his consciousness. And he saw the devotees and he wanted to say something. And that time he started instructing something very sacred to all of us. And Sri Rupa Goswami, who was there at that time, who actually took notes of all those, in fact in his own memory, and then he really gave it to us as Sri Upadesamrita. In this Sri Upadesamrita, the 9th verse is really talking about the different levels of these holy dhams. Vaikunda janito vera madhupuri tatra hapi rasotsavat brindaranyam utarapani ramana tatrapi govardhanaha radha kundam ihapi gokula pate premamruta plavanat Kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam viveki nakaha. So yesterday also I really touched base on about this verse. In fact, in the Harikatha, the holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikunta, because the Lord Krishna appeared there, and superior to Madhurapuri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan. Why it is? Because of Krishna's Rasalila pastimes. And even superior to the forest of Vrindavana is Govardhan Hill. Why? Because Krishna raised Govardhan Hill on his finger, left finger, pinky. So, and also it was a site for various pastimes. And above all, the super excellent holy dham is Radha Kunda. It stands supreme. For what? Because of the overflooded nectarian prema for Lord Krishna. So in this special Vrindavan Parikrama series that we are planning to do, we plan to touch base with few of the holy dhams in each category. Madhura we will start, and then Vrindavan, then Govardhan, and then Radha Kunda. So this is exactly how we will also do. Along with Radha Kunda, we will also probably cover something about from Varshana, because that is the place of Radharani. And before taking Braja Mandal Parikrama, the devotees used to take a vow. It should be taken in front of Guru or Brajavasi or a Sadhu. When the vow is taken, the Parikrama will begin. This vow has two things: to do and not to do. That is, must to do or must not do. What is that? One is called positive injection, other is negative injection. What must do? We do. To speak the truth. See, during the Parikrama, we have to follow all this. To speak the truth all the time. To observe celibacy, that is Brahmacharya. To sleep on the ground. To forgive the offenses of others, to take bath in the holy rivers or ponds, to do achamana from the holy tirthas, to accept only prasada offered to the Supreme Lord, to chant Harinama on Tulasi beads, or perform Harinam Sankirtan with Vaishnavas. Now, what are the negative injunction? Must not do. We should never become angry. And do not commit any violence towards trees, creepers, and cows, and so on along the parikrama path. Do not dishonor Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Do not disrespect the deities of the Brajadam. And do not use soap or oil. Do not shave. Do not kill even ants and other living beings. Do not involve oneself in dispute, arguments, and do not criticize anyone. Okay? So, alright, now let us get into it. Our very first virtual parikrama is Madura. We just learned the superiority levels of different holy places. We came the verbs. Vaikunda janitovara madhupuri tatrapi rasot vasat. Rasot savat. So Madura is spiritually superior to Vaikunda. Why? Because Swayam Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, appeared there. Swayam Bhagavan is not in Vaikunda. Because Lord Narayana is just one of the expansions from Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. How? From Swayam Bhagavan comes Lord Balaram and Radharani. And from Lord Balaram comes two quadruple expansions. The first quadruple expansion contains Vasudeva, Moola Shankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. This Vasudeva is Dwarakeshwara, Dwaraka Krishna. Dwaraka. So he goes to Dwaraka and becomes Dwarakeshwara. Again, all these four expands into Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, and Satrukana, and they reside in Saket. That's spiritual Ayodhya. Then the second expansion is like a carbon copy of the first one, first quadruple expansion. And we again get Vasudeva, Sankarshana. This is not Moola Sankarshana. This is the Sankarshana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. This second Vasudeva is Lord Narayana, the Lord of all Vaikunta planets. So Swayam Bhagavan is not in the Vaikunta. Only Lord Narayana is there. But Swayam Bhagavan appeared in Madhura and at the same time in Gokul. So Madhura is superior to Vaikunta. See, this is how we have to understand. So there are so many holy places on this earth that can give moksha. But only a very few can give Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Bhakti is way beyond moksha. So there are 7 holy places on the earth that can give mukti. Ayodhya, Mathura, Mayapuri is actually Haridwar, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, that is Ujjain, and Dwaraka. Of these, Mathura, the birthplace of the Supreme Lord Krishna, is the topmost. Then Dwaraka. So the scripture says that by residing in Mathura for just one day, a person attains devotion to Krishna. We are not talking about mukti here. We are talking about devotion, bhakti. And by residing in Mathura for 3 nights, one attains love for Krishna, which is difficult to obtain even for great liberated souls. So Mathura is not even annihilated. When all the pralaya time comes, that's not annihilated. Another planet that we know that is also not annihilated is the Dhruva planet, Dhruva Nakshatra. There is also some connection to Dhruva to Mathura. Okay, I will actually cover that. So in the beginning of Satya Yuga, the child Dhruva met Narada Muni. And here in Mathura, Dhruva took bath in the Yamuna at Dhruva Ghat. Ghat means holy, holy Tirtha place in this Mathura, and accepted the mantra of the Lord from Narada Muni. We will cover that. So with the mercy from Srila Gurudev, we have really done so many parikramas. Most of the time, we were actually with all, like Vaishnavas and all the sannyasis, and that time Gurudeva was there. After that, then we really started having parikrama of our own, and with the mercy of Gurudev, we could do some. And also here, like probably the last parikrama that we did with several family joined, that's a notable one. But it was so hot. It was a wrong time. So the proper time to go for the parikrama in Vrindavan is September to November. December, is okay, but again, then after that it becomes too cold, and the other time like June, May, June, July, is very hot. So this is the proper time. So Madura, okay, now let us get into it. Madura has several ghats, tirthas, or holy bathing places. There are totally 24 holy tirthas of Yamuna in Madura. Okay, so in Madura, the river Yamuna flows like a crescent shape. See the map, like a curved, like a crescent moon, right? And the Vishrama Ghat is very special. It is in the center. Okay, Vishrama Ghat means what? It's called Vishrama, holy place, holy tirtha. So on the southern side of Yamuna, there are 12 ghats. And on the northern side of Yamuna, there are the other 12 ghats. For all the tirtha places, there is a king called, he is actually called Tirtharaja. Who is Tirtharaja? He is Prayag. Prayag is called king of all the tirthas. But however, on this time Chadurmasya, and especially this Parikrama time, all the holy places personified, they come to this place, to Vrindavan, and take bath in Yamuna. Okay, so this is the time. So we will go over few of the gods out of the 24 because there's not much time. So this is Chakra Tirtha. Chakra means what? Remember, always think about Chakra. Chakra means what? You have to think about Ambarish Maharaj. So this is one of the 24 gods of Yamuna in Mathura. So you all know the story of Ambarish Maharaj. And near to this place is Ambarisha Tila. Tila means place. That is the place he had the palace. So he had the palace. In Satya Yuga, Durvasa Muni arrived there with his disciples. You all know the story. I am not going to go through the whole story. Why he came? To test the devotion of Ambarish Maharaj. In fact, across Yamuna, there is a place called Durvasa Ashram. Actually, it is actually with our Gurudev. Because, Durvasa Muni appeared in his dream. Please, you take charge of, my temple, etc., etc. Like lot of nice stories are there. I will actually cover probably sometimes later. So, who is this Durvasa Muni? Durvasa Muni is an Amsa of Lord Shiva. So, this Chakra Tirtha is the same place where Durvasa Muni and his disciple took bath. Durvasa Muni delayed purposefully and showed up while Ambarish Maharaj was waiting, and finally he said, okay, I need to really break the Yakadashi Vrata, and then he was really about to he just drank a drop of water, and he showed up and became angry, and he pulled a small hair from his head and then dashed on the ground, and a big demon came out, boom, just like that, and he was approaching to kill Ambarish Maharaj, and immediately the chakra came. Chakra came from where? From his own body. Every devotee, the pure devotee is actually hidden, given chakra by the Lord. It is there in the scripture. So it came, and then it was really started chasing and chasing. You know the thing. So this is the Tirtha. Okay, so that is why this Tirtha is called Chakra Tirtha. Okay, and this Durvasa realized Ambarish Maharaj's glory near this place in this Chakra Tirtha, and the next immediately, very near it is Ambarish Tila. Even today, Chakra Tirtha and Ambarish Tila stand as witnesses to show how Ambarish Maharaj was protected by the Sudarshan Chakra. Now this is Durva Ghat. I just mentioned about. After hearing the punishing words of Suruchi, his stepmother, on the advice of his mother Suniti, the 5-year-old Durva came to the same place now called Durva Tirtha or Durva Ghat. This is the same place Durva met Devarishi Narada Muni. So Narada Muni asked Durva to take bath at the same Tirtha, and Durva took the bath at this very same Durva Ghat, and received the 12-syllable Nama Mantra from Narada Muni. Durva then went to Madhuvana. What is Madhuvana? There are 12 primary forests, and 12 Upa forest of Vrindavan. Madhuvana is one of them. So then he went there in the deep forest and he meditated and worshipped the Lord and performing severe austerities, and finally he received the darshan. So now the next one I am really going to be talking about is Saraswati Patana Tirtha. Okay, it's actually near another place called Gaugata or called Somatirtha. Okay, that's very near. So the ancient river that sunk below ground, you all know, Saraswati River, right? Like now the scientists have really found out through the satellite pictures that it's actually sunken in, under the earth. I mean below the surface of the earth. And that Saraswati River used to meet at this place. Okay, so this is the place where Saraswati River and Yamuna used to meet. So another name of in river Saraswati is called Sri Krishna Ganga. This Tirtha, this place, therefore called Krishna Ganga Ghat also. Saraswati Patana Tirtha or Krishna Ganga Ghat. Ghat means what? Holy place, Tirtha. So this Ghat is also related to Sri Krishna Dvaipayana Veda Vyasa. So the Veda Vyasa, right, took birth from Matsya Gandhi, that is also she was called Satyavati, on this island. See, I put a mark there. Okay, this is those days probably it may be bigger or smaller, we don't know. That's the place. So the same island. Not only that, this is the same place Sri Vyasadeva met his Guru Narada Muni. And according to Narada Muni, he sat and then, he received the Bhagavatam all the way completely in his trance. And then later, he instructed it to his son Sukadev Goswami. Understand? See, look at here. You are actually, when you really go to, with whatever the thing that you are hearing from me now, and when you go there later to the real parikrama, you should be able to really remember. Otherwise, it will look like another small place here and there. Yes, always remember all these things. Okay? So many things, so many histories are there. Now let us talk about Vishrama Ghat little more. This is a very special Tirtha of Yamuna, where, remember I was talking about the taking vow, like I will do, must do and must not do. This is the place that we used to come, and during the Kartik Parikrama, we really take water and then, recite the mantras and then, do it. So it's like a Kankana. Okay, so here in the temple also we have Radha Krishna deity. You see on the top right, that is the same deity, the picture of the same deity. And this is the very same place Lord Krishna rested after killing wicked Kamsa. Actually, the Vishrama, what is the meaning of this Vishrama or Vishranti? That's a root word, Sanskrit word. It means rest, resting place. That's what Vishrama Ghat means. It's a resting place. So, the same place Lord Krishna rested after killing Kamsa. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Vrindavan, he took bath in this Vishrama Ghat first. In ancient times, Lord Varagadev, okay, this is like ages, right? After lifting the earth, Mother Earth from the Garbha ocean and slaying the demon Akaranyaksha, also came and rested this place. So this has a history of resting. So while he was resting at this place, same place, Lord Varagadev spoke about the glories of Brajamandal, Vrindavan. To whom? To Goddess Bhumi Devi, the Mother Earth, who was really taken away, lifted up by Varagadev. And these descriptions, you can really all recorded in Adi Varaha Purana. If you see the Adi Varaha Purana, these are the things about description about all the Vrindavana is there. Also, there is another story, because I remember I translated like many books of Gurudev, and one of them is called Essence of Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavad Gita in Saram. There is a story that you might have read that about there was a devotee who used to take bath in Mathura in the same this Ghat, Vishrama Ghat. And once what happened, because of the stormy night that day, because of course there was no alarm clock or no clock, right? They used to see only Dhruva Nakshatra and then see what time it is. So, but because of the storm, he could not see. But this is the place he came in the midnight, thinking that it is morning. and took bath, and when he came out, the storm was so too bad, and he lost the way to his home. And Krishna came with a small lander, small lander light and lamp, the older days, that one, and then he really took him and took him to his home. You can read it in that book, Bhagavad Gita in Sara, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Anyway, also, as you all know, every holy dham in Vrindavan, they are all protected by Sadashiva. He protects the holy dhams by sitting in all every one of the 4 directions. And whenever we visit Mathura, for example, it is a custom to really visit, to go there and worship these Mahadeva deities first. So Sadashiva is called Mahadeva because he is the topmost of all the devas. And Lord Sadashiva is the first Vaishnava. First Vaishnava. How Vaishnavanam yada sampuhu. The very first Vaishnava is actually Lord Shiva only. Sadashiva. Lord Shiva is a manifestation from Sadashiva. People may not even know what the difference is. So Sadashiva is a Vaishnava. And Lord Shiva is also Vaishnava but came from Sadashiva. Sadashiva belongs to the outskirt of Goloka Vrindavan. Okay? Alright, so that is where he is gaudy. Then also he is the one residing in the Kailash. Kailash is just before Vaikunta. Anyway, so his main purpose is to protect the Vaishnavas. Anyway, so in the last classes I really covered about all this. In Brajamandal, he is the first one who accepts prasadam from Lord Krishna first. So everybody gives Naivedyam to Lord Krishna, and who gets first? Lord Sadashiva. First they will give it to Sadashiva to really accept that. Then become Mahaprasadam, and then we take. So Lord Shiva and Sadashiva, they are not different. They are all belong to Lord Krishna only. So he is the first Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam yada sambhu. So this is Pipaleshwar Mahadev. Okay, sitting in one of the 4 directions of Madhura. And then in another direction, we have Rangeshwara Mahadev. He is the one in one of the other of the 4 directions. And in another direction, Sadashiva has manifested as Bhuteshwar Mahadev. We all visited actually all these Mahadeva temples there. Then in the northern direction of Mathura, you see Sadashiva manifested, and he is called Gokarna Mahadeva. Gokarna Mahadeva. What does Gokarna means? Gokarna means one who has the ears like that of a cow. Go. Okay, so what you see is at the top left you see a temple. That is the very same temple where this Mahadeva is actually located, that is situated. So this Gokarna, why he got the name Gokarna Mahadeva? Because you may remember a Harikatha that I really gave long time back about Srimad Bhagavatam. Gokarna was a devotee who was born with the ears of a cow, and he was the one who recited Srimad Bhagavatam to his dead brother, who happened to become a ghost, and he was haunting as a ghost, and he could not get liberated. And then finally Gokarna came to know, and he was the one who recited Srimad Bhagavatam, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, that he really got, his brother got away from this ghostly form and he got liberation. So that same Gokarna worshipped Mahadeva here. That is why this deity is also got the name Gokarna Mahadeva. Okay, when you go to the parikrama, real parikrama, you all now remember everything. And now let us get into some more details of other holy dhams in Madura. A very famous temple in Madura is this Dwarakadishwara temple. So this is a very, very, very famous temple. Everybody will go. And it is very near to this Vishrama God. Very, very near. Just to that. You go there and then walk a minute or something, and then you see the Vishrama God. Okay, so this temple was established about only 150 years ago by a devotee in the line of Sri Vallabhacharya Parampara. Who is that Vallabhacharya? Where does he belong? Of the four authorized Parampara, Sri Parampara, Brahma Sampradaya, where we belong, and then Kumara Sampradaya, and then also we have the Rudra Sampradaya, right? So he belongs to Kumara Sampradaya. So that devotee actually built the temple. It's very near to the Vishrama Ghat. So now, who is the Dwarakeshwara? He is the king of Dwaraka. Who is this? That is Dwaraka Krishna. So here Krishna is with his queens, Rukmini and Satyabhama. But no peacock, no flute. Because Dwarakeshwara, Dwaraka Krishna does not have flute. He does not have any peacock feather. That belongs only to Vrindavan Krishna, Nandanandan Krishna. So only Vrindavan Krishna wears peacock feather and carries a flute. So we worship which Krishna? Not the Dwaraka Krishna. No, we respect him, of course. But he is an expansion. But the original Swayam Bhagavan is who? Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Dahadama Brindavanam. I really recited that before. Our worshipable deity is Brajesha Tanaya. Dhamma Brindavanam. The Brindavan Krishna. He is the Swayam Bhagavan. And where all Narayana and Dwaraka Krishna, they are all expansions. But people do not understand because they cannot go more than that. More than Saturn DC. There are so much of scripture they have to follow. So you all, okay, now let us go. Just I will touch it. This itself is a big story. For a whole hour it will come. But I will talk little bit about, and then I will come to the story sometimes later when the time comes. You all know about the Radha Madan Mohan, the deities in our Kanyamari temple, and also the deities going to be there in Nigeria temple, and so on wherever. So there is a history as how Madan Mohan initially came to Srila Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami is the Acharya of Sambandha. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. We really covered that in the classes. Sambandha means Sambandham. That means you are actually establishing a relation with Krishna. That's the first step. Then you really do the Abhideya. The process is to really go back to him. Then the final, this thing is Prayojana. Ultimately, what exactly the fruit is. Okay, so there is an Acharya for every one of these three aspects. So Sri Sanatana Goswami is the Acharya of Sambandha Jnana. So the original Madan Mohan deity actually came from this Madura. And this deity, I will tell the story, this is amazingly great. So that deity actually walked with Sanatana Goswami and became a deity again. He just walked like a boy. And then finally when he reached where? Vrindavan. Okay, that deity is in Vrindavan, not in Mathura. So the deity walked from Mathura to Vrindavan. Alright? So became a deity again. That's what you are actually seeing there in the picture. So later a big temple, you just see at the left, was built in Vrindavan, where the deity, as I said, walked to that place. Okay? So then later, actually what happened, that time it was just a hut like that, what you really see on the picture on the right. But later there was a salt merchant. His name was Ramdas Kapoor, who came and then his boats got stuck there. And finally, because of the grace from Madan Mohan and Sanatana Goswami, he really got away from it. And then he said, all the profits I am going to really give it to him to build a temple. And that's the temple what you see. But the problem is, later due to the horrible Muslim ruler Aurangzeb, the deity had to be moved to Jaipur. And then again from Jaipur it got moved to another place called Karauli. So we all were there. We really saw the deity. It's wonderful. So that's near Jaipur only. Karauli is not that far away. I will cover all the story later. Now let us get into the place where Lord Krishna was born. The birthplace of Lord Krishna. As you may know, that to see this place, inside the Janmasthan, inside you have to go. It is very high security. There will be all guards with the guns, because this is I'm going to tell you why this is very, very, really pathetic. Very sad, actually. We cannot even take even cell phone or camera, of course, nothing. So this is the entrance, what you really see towards the left side. It's a Janmasthan. You really go there. Very high security. You will be inspected. You will be thoroughly inspected before getting in. This Janmasthan. Janmasthan means place. Sthan means place, right? Janmasthan means the place of birth of Krishna, where Vasudeva and Devaki were put in prison. So when you go and see, you are seeing the prison cell. And the prison had all iron gates and all stone walls that you can see. Later, actually what happened to us, there was a huge temple before this atrocity really happened. Because Aurangzeb, before that, there was a huge, wonderful temple there where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and visited and he danced there. But no more. Why? Aurangzeb, unfortunately, Aurangzeb, that a horrible king, he destroyed the temple completely. And on that place, he put the mosque. A huge mosque, as you see, is standing there. And where is the Janmasthan? Under the mosque. In one side you have to go. That's what it will lead. When you enter in, you are actually going to go just at the back side of that also, they had to really beg to really get permission to really build all those. That was such a thing. Look at here. See what the Hindus are doing. This is the problem. So in fact, to see this birthplace, that small cell, you have to go through a side path to enter under the mosque. It is so sad. After the turmoil, to really get back Ayodhya, whatever that happened. But people, like devotees were really trying to get this also back. But I don't know what is going on. This is the thing. But recently, by the side of the side, you see that on the right side, a new temple has been built by the side, and they put some wonderful Radha Krishna deities, beautiful temple, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Gauranga, they're beautifully there, and they made it even to taller than the mosque. Okay, but in the picture you may not be seeing that one, but they really, kept on building, and then it really is actually tall. Then also to the left side, there is actually exhibition that you can go through a kind of a cave, cave. You can actually walk through that, and there you can see different leelas, the pastimes of Lord Krishna that he really performed in Vrindavan and Mathura. It's beautiful, but the problem is, unfortunately, no camera, no cell phone, because of the security reasons. We cannot really take it. What a horrible situation that we are in. And this picture you really see on the right is very difficult to get. How will you? Because no camera, no cell phone allowed. Somehow or other, our Gurudev's Parikrama, Brajamandal Parikrama book, I don't know how he got it. He got it, and then this is the unique picture. You will not be able to see this. What you see on the right side, that's all there inside the cell. That's the dungeons, jail, under the mosque. Even though strictly no photos allowed, somehow this we really got it, and I am just putting it there. So according to historians, the prison cell, popularly known as Garbhagriha, that is the name. This is the exact place where Bhagavan Krishna took birth. Aurangzeb destroyed that place and built a huge mosque on top of it, as I mentioned. But after so many negotiations, Hindus could get only that permission to really go under through the back door to see our Lord Krishna's birthplace. What a pitiable situation that we are. The stone-walled and iron-grilled cell is reminiscence of the cruelty of King Kamsa. That is another thing. Many statues and sculptures of that era, they could really find from there after evacuating the place, nearby place. The original prison cell was gradually turned into this present temple, it's like a room only, and not big at all. like just a room. That is why seeing all these things, there is a website called Haribhakt. Yeah, actually means Hari Bhakti website. It has these quotes. Okay, I'm just reading it. We Hindus are responsible to encourage governments to appease Muslims while have second-class treatment given to us Hindus. You will never find Christians compromising with Vatican. We will never see Muslims, trying to replace that Vedic, what about Kabbalah in Mecca. Will they even allow us to touch? How they could really touch? Because we are all cowards. Even though restricted, many devotees try to visit the temple during Janmashtami. The festivities and celebrations during the festival is famous all over India. Celebrations begin during midnight with the birth of Lord Krishna, as you know, Janmashtami. Anyway, now this Mathura also has something to talk about. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's visit. As I mentioned, he was just dancing with thousands of people assembled there, and then they were just wondering, who is this one? That is Lord Krishna himself. He's coming and then dancing in front of his temple. And at this time, there was one king, a small king. Remember that the Muslim ruler was there, ruling the entire Bengal, but they were small kings, and one of them was Subudhi Raya. The Subudhi Raya was systematically converted to Islam as a Muslim. Because how? They really took some what they do is, they eat meat, what halal or whatever they meat. And when they really eat meat, then also they really, take some palm of water and then drink. And the water will be really trickling through the hands, and they will collect that water after, after they eat. They collect the water, and then they take it that this is, they really, used to really, sprinkle on Hindus, and then convert him. Then once they really was sprinkled, the Hindus also, they say, yes, once if it happens to you, you cannot come back to the Hindus unless you die. So Subudhi Raya was purposely by the ruling king of Bengal, he was converted to Islam like this, and he came here to die. So Subudhi Raya happened to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He fell at his lotus feet and said, I am going to die, and before I die, I just wanted to see Mathura from because he was not even trying to get in the temple, he was outside. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no, come here, you chant the holy name of Krishna, that is it, chant, there is nothing like that. No, in front of the holy name, nothing can stand. You even say one uttering of Eka Harinama, Eka Nama Karo, finished. So he chanted, and in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he started dancing. And that happened in Mathura. Then Subudhi Raya followed Mahaprabhu's instruction and performed Harinam Sankirtan. And he served Vaishnavas at this place, at Mathura, for the rest of his life. And he reached Krishna. And very near to this Janmashthan, where the prison of Kamsa was there, where Vasudeva and Devaki were imprisoned, there is a wide pond near there, it's very nearby, and that is called Pavitra Kunda. So there is a passage, a passage used to be there through some cave all the way to that reaches the nearby jail, where Devaki and Vasudeva were imprisoned. And they cannot escape, of course, and they will be all controlled by some doors and everything. So this is the place where whenever Devaki was giving birth to her sons, she used to come through the door and coming to this kunda and wash her cloth. So to make it, basically all the blood stains and everything. So look at the situation. How she also suffered, and she washed the clothes here after the delivery of her sons. The pond was initially called Pavitra Kunda, that's what the name, but eventually it became Potra Kunda. Pavitra, it was, so they wanted to say a little shorter, Potra Kunda. Okay. But so basically that's what happened. So you can see that also, just when you are coming out of that Janmasthan, very nearby, you will see this also. And there is a large cave, as I mentioned. There is a cave. Now it is closed. Okay, for some reason, they really actually closed the cave completely. But you can see the pond there anyway, as I really showed in the picture. But then in the front, after closing what you will see, the walls, that's the entrance to the cave. They closed it and they put Hanumanji temple at the entrance. So you will see Hanumanji temple there, in the just near the Pavitra Kunda. Now, as you all know, Kamsa tried to kill Krishna in so many ways. He sent so many asuras and demons. But Krishna and Balaram killed all of them. As every attempt failed, Kamsa prepared to really, working on a master plan. And finally he came with the master plan in the disguise of an invitation for a tour. Oh, this invitation from our uncle. Uncle, I am calling you. You come and then, visit us. So he planned to bring Krishna and Balaram for a sightseeing tour. And behind his plan was to kill them there in Mathura. So that was his last resort. And for bringing Krishna and Balaram to Mathura, he ordered Akrura. Akrura also is somewhat related to actually Krishna, by relation, but he was working for Kamsa. So he had to follow the order of Kamsa, the king. So the Kamsa ordered Akrura to go to Vrindavan. He gave a golden chariot. Go there and bring Krishna and Balaram. That was his order. And as order, he entered Akrura, went to, cross Yamuna. He saw the footprints of Krishna. And he fell there and then he was crying and crying. In fact, when he came, he arranged to kill Kamsa. But that need not be to be done because, anyway, so that's another story. So, Akrura came to Vrindavan to bring Krishna and Balaram. He really met Yashoda and Nanda Baba. It was a very, very sad story because, Krishna's birth is very tricky. Very, very tricky. He was conveying that actually this Krishna, what you really see here in Vrindavan, is a son of who? But actually there are so many truths are behind. So, but they couldn't believe because gopis really saw that, Krishna was also born there. So, but anyway, Akrura said, this is my order. You have to come. Yes, he decided to really take Krishna. And Balaram also said, I am also going with my brother because I need to protect him. So it was a bad scene when he was taken away on the chariots to Mathura. And it was just before crossing Yamuna, he stopped. Akrura stopped there. And again, so only when Krishna really told Gopi saying that, yes, I will come back. I will come back, don't worry, I will come back. Then only they could really at least bear. Otherwise, they were all lying in front of the chariot. You said, you just drive the chariot over us. Kill us. We don't want to leave. That was how the whole thing actually happened. But then Krishna said, don't worry, I will come back. And then he was going and going and going. All the gopis were all fainted. And when they are coming, before crossing Yamuna, he stopped. Akrura stopped. And he got down. And he was to dip in Yamuna. So he really went there and took a dip. And Krishna and Balaram, they are all on the chariots. So he took a dip there. And all of a sudden he saw, Krishna there. Krishna and Balaram there. Right there inside. In the Yamuna. He could not believe. What is this happening? Big vision. And he got up. So one dip is done. Then he was looking at the chariot. The same Krishna and Balaram, they are here on the chariot. What did I see? I wanted to see again. And he again dipped. And again he really saw. Complete, all spiritual. He got the vision. And he couldn't believe. And he again got up. and saw Krishna and Balaram sitting there on the chariot. What is happening? Now he was not about to do that time. And Krishna was smiling. Oh, uncle, what about the third dip? Why didn't you take the third dip? Oh, Akrura came to know. How did he know? He is Lord of the Lord. Why should I? The plan was, when he was crossing Yamuna, he already arranged a big army there in Mathura to kill Kamsa, to fight and capture Kamsa. He arranged secretly. And the signal was, when I will be crossing Yamuna, I will take dip. When I am taking the third dip, you guys will start attacking and we will join. And now, he did not take the third dip. And Krishna was wondering, uncle, why did you take the third dip? And Akrura said, oh Lord, I know who you are. I don't have to take the third dip. You can take care of yourself. And that time when they crossed Yamuna, this Krishna now becomes Dwaraka Krishna, Madhura Krishna. That Yamuna is the place where separating Brajanandan Krishna and Madhura Krishna, who later goes to Dwaraka and becomes Dwarakeshwara. Okay, anyway, that's a big thing. I don't want to really get into that now. Okay, so this was how the whole thing. Now he is now in where? Mathura. So Krishna and Balaram, now they are about to enter the fort of King Kamsa, and there was a big door was there. And in fact, Kamsa was an evil king, as you all know. He had already arrested his own father, Ugrasena, and put him in the jail. This is the same fort that you can see when you really Mathura, and you can see the fort. It is very near to Yamuna river, as you can see in the top left. When Krishna and Balaram entered Mathura, Kamsa had already set the giant elephant called Kuvalayapida to kill Krishna. The elephant was given so much of alcohol to make it mad. The mad elephant Kuvalayapida, who had been trying to kill the two brothers, blocked the entrance, waiting to receive the signal from his what the elephant would take her, his master is waiting for the signal to kill Krishna. When Krishna and Balaram came near, the signal was given to the elephant, and the elephant was madly running towards Krishna and Balaram. But Krishna and Balaram, anyway, they just got hold of that. They were going, under, down, these, everything, and they kicked, and finally what happened? They killed the elephant. And not only that, he pulled the tusks, each tusk, and Krishna took one tusk, and Balaram took another one, and with that tusk, they killed the Yanapaha, the one who really was training this elephant, and who gave the signal to really kill Krishna and Balaram, also killed. The bloods were all spraying on their body. And the elephant killed. And if you go to Mathura, there is a place called Kuvalayapida Samadhi. You can see there. That's a place where finally this elephant was actually put in the grave. Okay, so you can see that also. So now Krishna and Balaram were now walking towards the arena. Flowers bedecked splendid arched gateways, and an enormous bow of Sankara was placed. There was a bow, there's the bow, big bow. It came from Shankara. And the Rangeshwara Mahadeva was also beautifully decorated there. Because, like actually Kamsa is actually a big worshipper of Durga Devi and also Shiva. So this place was decorated, and then that bow was there. And Krishna and Balaram, they were just entering. And that bow was not supposed to be even touched. And Krishna just like that with his left hand, just to put a hold on it. And everybody else going, all the servants were running. Oh, are, you are a boy, what are you doing that? You are not even supposed to touch and everything. And what Krishna did? He just like that took it in one half. Then he really pulled the bow and broke into two pieces right there. That thunder sound was going to Kamsa, who was waiting for them to come and then join in the wrestling arena. And that thunder, that sound of breaking the arrow was so loud, it was shaking the whole area there. And immediately after seeing that the bow was broken, so many soldiers were really trying to kill Krishna and Balaram. Just like that, boom, 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 all killed. They all died right there. Who were protecting the bow, all killed. Now they were all coming to the wrestling area now. There were many gigantic and fiery wrestlers such as Chanura, Mushtika, Sala and Doshala. They were all ready to fight with Krishna. Kamsa, together with his prominent citizens, he was sitting on the high throne, on an elevated platform. Krishna and Balaram were about to enter the wrestling arena. That time itself, there was a news given to Kamsa. That news was, because of the sound and everything, because some soldiers ran to Maharaj Kamsa and they told them about the incident of that Kuvelapida was killed. And now the bow was also broken. And now Kamsa went into real turmoil. He was really grinding his teeth in anger. He signaled to Chanura and Mushtika to quickly kill the two boys. And the two boys were just watching. How? One hand, of course, each one is having, having the tusk of that, from that elephant. He was walking. When he was walking, if you read in Srimad Bhagavatam, you will see everyone saw Krishna differently. For some of them, he was seen as a personified death, Yamaraj. For some of them, oh, he is my hero. And for some of them, he is my friend. And for some of them, oh, he is my son. And for some of them, he is their beloved. So, Krishna and Balaram, smiling like two lions, they were entering the arena there with their tusks and their shoulders. Their bodies sprinkled with blood from the elephant and also the elephant keeper. Chanura and Mushtika challenged the two brothers who wrestled, by making they were just showing their strength and flexing their muscles to display their power and strength. Sri Krishna suggested that he and Balaram will actually fight. And there were already somewhere actually arguing, how can you really, this is not dharma. How can you really make these big giants to really fight with the small two boys? But Kamsa said, no, that's okay, no problem. He's fine, rule is rule. But anyway, finally, Kamsa was killed by Krishna by pulling the hair. And he pushed him on the ground and stepped on his body and suffocated and gave a blow and killed him. Why did he pull Kamsa by his hairs? Because Kamsa pulled the hair of Devaki. When he was about to kill Devaki, he pulled the hair of Devaki. So now he did the same thing. And he pulled with his hair and danced. And he just stepped on him. And that weight was like a mountain. Why he did that? Because when Vasudeva brought Krishna to Gokul, so that he really immerses into Vrindavan Krishna. And then that news came to Kamsa. So that Kamsa came to know and he punished Vasudeva by putting big heavy weight on him. So he is now doing the same thing. He got up and Kamsa was so suffocated like what Vasudeva went through. Then he gave a big blow. Finished. Kamsa was killed. That same place where Kamsa was killed is called Kamsa Tila. Tila means, in Hindi or is given place. So that same Kamsa Tila that you see on the right side on the slide. When you go, you remember this is the place that happened. And inside that there is a small statue of, as you see on the top right. So after killing Kamsa, Krishna and Balaram rested at where? Vishrama Ghat that I told before. Yes, here, with his glory of narrating the histories behind this Mathura, here I would like to end the virtual parikrama of the holy Dham, Mathura. Thank you. Hare Krishna.